How did you accidentally destroy a marriage? My friend Violet asked me to file her baby's birth certificate while she recovered from C-section. She said to make sure I didn't let her husband Dylan see it because he was batshit about paperwork, and she didn't want him leaving her during recovery to file it. I was standing in line at the courthouse when Dylan walked in looking frantic. He rushed over saying Violet had sent him. My stomach dropped because Violet specifically said he'd be at the hospital all day. He reached for the envelope, but I instinctively pulled it back. Just give me the papers. He grabbed my wrist, not hard but firm enough to be uncomfortable. Other people in line were starting to stare. He let go and chuckled that he was just exhausted from the birth, but his eyes stayed locked on the envelope like it contained nuclear codes. The line moved forward and Dylan stayed right beside me, asking questions about whether Violet had seemed okay when she gave me the papers, if she'd said anything specific about the name. His phone kept buzzing and I saw texts from Violet asking where he was, why he'd left the hospital, was everything okay. He ignored them and moved closer to me, saying he really needed to check the forms for accuracy before filing. I said they were already sealed, but he said we could get new forms. No big deal, just open it real quick. An elderly woman behind us asked if everything was all right, and Dylan snapped at her to mind her own business. Security started paying attention to us. Dylan noticed and lowered his voice, but his hand kept twitching toward the envelope. He started talking about how hormonal women get after birth, how they make rash decisions, how Violet wasn't thinking clearly. The way he said it made my skin crawl. When we got closer to the window, Dylan tried bargaining with me. He offered me $100 just to let him peek at the form. When I said no, he offered $500, then $1,000. His desperation was scary because I couldn't understand why the name mattered so much unless he already suspected something. He kept saying, "We agreed on Luna. We've been calling her Luna for months. The nursery has Luna painted on the wall." Then he tried a different approach, pulling up photos on his phone of a beautifully decorated nursery with Luna spelled out in wooden letters above the crib. "Look what I built for her," he said, his voice breaking. "I spent 3 months on that room. The moon and stars I painted by hand. You're going to let her destroy our family over some postpartum crazy decision?" When I still wouldn't give him the envelope, he actually dropped to his knees right there in line, grabbing my hand, begging me to just let him see it, saying he was her father and had rights. People were filming us with their phones now. At the window, Dylan tried to step in front of me, but I was already handing the envelope to the clerk. Dylan was saying something about being the father, needing to verify information, but the clerk had already opened it and was reading. "Baby girl, born yesterday, mother Violet Torres, father Dylan Torres," she read, then paused at the name line. Her eyebrows went up slightly. Dylan leaned over the counter trying to see. "What's her name?" "We agreed on Luna. Luna Marie Torres." But the clerk was frowning, looking between the paper and Dylan. I could see Violet had filled it out in her distinct handwriting, the purple ink she always used. Dylan was getting agitated, his voice rising, demanding to know what his daughter's name was. Other people were backing away from us. The clerk asked Dylan to confirm he was the father, and he pulled out his ID, his hands shaking now. She looked at it, then at the paper again, then at me with this expression like she'd seen this drama before. "Ma'am, did the mother fill this out herself?" I nodded. Dylan was practically climbing over the counter now trying to see the paper. Security was starting to move toward us, hands on their radios. "Just tell me what name she wrote," Dylan pleaded, and there was something desperate in his voice that made me realize Violet hadn't just been worried about him wanting to do paperwork. She'd been hiding something specific. The clerk looked at me like she was asking permission, and I didn't know what to do, so I just shrugged. She turned the paper toward Dylan so he could read it, and I watched his face go from red to white to red again. His whole body went rigid. He stood there staring at the paper for what felt like forever, not moving, not even breathing. Then he made this sound like an animal in pain. The security guard stepped closer. Dylan's hands clenched into fists, and he turned to look at me with pure rage in his eyes. "Levi," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "She named our daughter Levi." He turned to me slowly. "That's her ex-boyfriend's name, the one who died last year. The one she told me meant nothing to her." His fist went through the wall beside my head as he screamed, "She's still in love with him." Full story on the channel below.